Hello, sixth graders. Dr. Dadles here. Welcome to sixth grade STEAM camp. We're going to have a great week. Here's what you will need today. Teachers, please have your students get their science notebook and colored pencils. Pause if you need more time. Today you'll be working in the science section of your notebook. Once all of you have your materials, continue the video. Okay, we are going to have an exceptional day today. I met someone on my last hike. Why don't you introduce yourself to our sixth graders?
Hello, my name is Alexander Benedict Cumberhatch.
Welcome to our STEAM camp. So what brings you here?
I'm on an exciting adventure to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. My teacher wants us to have an idea by Friday.
Oh, I'm sure our sixth graders can help you hatch a plan. We can help you get some excellent ideas. Let's start with a bit about you. When you're trying to figure out what career to have, think first about your talents, interests, passions, strengths, or tips for short. Tell us about your tips, Alexander.
I can handle a lot of pressure. I can be many different things. I'm passionate about food, I'm very strong, but soft on the inside.
Well, every sixth grader also has an egg, and it represents you. Take a moment to draw your egg and tell about its talents, interests, passions, and strengths. You can come back to this page in your journal and add to it any time this week. You'll be watching a series of videos and pausing once in a while to work in your nature journal, just like ornithologists, biologists, and park rangers do. So, let's get cracking. Today's agenda includes this introduction, an online activity, and an outdoor activity, and some career connections. Today, we will be going on a virtual nature hike to Idlewild, California, and learning to use your nature journals. Taking a nature hike is great for your health, both physically and mentally.
A hike? I'm not sure I can do a hike.
Oh, don't be chicken, okay? We're going to be ready to go and get some exercise. Scientists have discovered that being in nature has health benefits. In Japan, they even have a special name for it. They refer to it as Shinrin Yoku. That means forest bathing in Japanese. No, we're not talking about actually like taking a bath or shower. We're just talking about the benefits that come from being in nature, like improving your mood and attention or lowering stress. Being out in nature can even help you physically. It can fight off germs and protect your brain cells.
I feel pretty stressed out about finding the best career, but I think I'll give it a try.
Good! I'm glad you're not chickening out. Why don't you just hop in my pocket and we'll go off for our hike. Hi, I'm Dr. Dadles. Welcome to our nature hike. We're here to do a little bit of forest bathing. Don't worry if you didn't bring any soap. We're not actually taking a bath in the forest. It simply means that you're going to let everything in the forest wash over all your senses, and you're going to be alert to everything that your senses can take in with the forest or desert or beach around you. So I'm going to pay attention to what I can see, smell, taste, hear, and what I can feel, but also how I feel here. Right now, as I look around, I can see the sunlight streaming through these beautiful trees. I've got oak trees and pine trees and cypress trees and manzanita trees. When I smell, I can breathe in the smell of pine and buckwheat, a little bit of dust. If I breathe in through my mouth, I taste really fresh, crisp air. It's much cooler up here. Right now it's only about 56 degrees. When I listen, far off I can hear a woodpecker, but I haven't been able to see him yet. I hear other animals and birds twittering around me, and I also hear the air blowing through the trees. As I sit on the rock, I can feel how cool it is compared to the air temperature and the sunlight, and I also just feel really relaxed. I hope that you enjoy our nature hike up here in Idlewild. Oh, let's take a break here.
I'm exhausted.
Well, we can reflect on some of the cool things that we saw. Discuss with your neighbors what you found interesting and what you're wondering about those things. Let's use our nature journals to record some of the things in nature around you. You'll want to gather your nature journal, pencil, your colored pencil. We'll use these tools to record our information just like scientists. So, what goes in a nature journal?
How do I sketch? I'm not an artist yet.
Well, nature journals don't have to be perfect. They just help you think about what you saw and try to figure things out. It might contain the location and the date, pictures or drawings, samples, well, as long as they're not living. They have labels and numbers, and then you can use your 5 senses to tell how it really feels to be in that place. You can look at just one thing, like a dandelion, or you could look at many things in one place, like the student is doing in this park. There might be many things on your school campus. The more that you use nature journaling to observe, the more details will be captured. You can also gather real objects like this leaf, like as long as it's not alive.
How do I sketch? I'm not an artist yet.
Well, let's look at this bird. So first, you look at the rough outline. What's the shape of the bird? I see its head is a small circle, its body is an oval, its tail is a long triangle, but its beak is a small triangle. It has this cool, jagged triangle mohawk. And its wings are another triangle. And so now I use colored pencils just to capture the colors.
That's a great example. I can do that.
Well, then you can add all kinds of things. So here's an example. This student colored the bird and labeled it so it can be recognized again. They noted it was alone and not in a flock, and they wondered if it migrates in the winter or if it was male or female. They made some notes about the sounds of this Stellar's Day too.
Ooh, what about this cool insect?
Same idea. Look at the outside edges first. What's the shape of the insect? It's kind of a long oval. Trace the outline. The head looks like a triangle. How many legs? What colors do you see? How many stripes? You can use those colored pencils to add those details.
I can do that.
You can use a hand lens still closer too if you want.
When your teacher tells you, you'll head outside to a particular location. Take a moment to note your senses, then look closely. Find a plant, a tree, or a flower that interests you. You're going to add this to your nature journal. Be sure to listen for the signal that it's time to return to class.
One more thing as we get ready to head outside. Be sure you take a moment to fill out this chart. Think about, what do you feel? The sun? The breeze? Do you recognize any plants? Can you smell anything like orange blossoms? And what do you hear? Stay in the spots your teacher tells you. Leave it alone if it's alive. Look with your eyes, not your hands or pencils. You want to sketch pictures and leave behind only footprints. Stay quiet so the wildlife will show themselves. Just listen for the return signal from your teacher. Okay, Alexander, let's go sketch. So what interesting things did you observe, Alexander? What did you find? How'd your nature journal turn out?
I saw an eagle. I drew the nest. It was about 4 feet wide, so I labeled it. I saw 2 eaglets in the nest. I saw a parent feeding the babies. They were acorns from the ground, and I found a feather.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your nature journal with me. I saw those bald eagles too. They nest in this protected park every year.
Protecting wildlife? That's what park rangers do, right?
Yes. So if you like working outdoors, being a park ranger is a great job. Here, you can watch this video.
So we're sitting here in Zion National Park. All around us, Zion was established first as a national monument in 1909, so it's more than 100 years old. It became a national park in 1919. The big reason it was set aside was to protect the scenery around us, these giant cliffs, this canyon carved by the Virgin River, to protect the geology that has shaped this place and continues to do so, as well as the variety of life found within this area and a good variety of cultural resources as well. One of the things that's very unique about Zion, I guess, or significant about it, is the wide range of elevations in the park. We have everything from high peaks at almost 9,000 feet in elevation down to low, hot deserts below 4,000 feet elevation. So with that great range, we get a lot of different habitats that support a great variety of life. So there are lots of different things that visitors can get from coming to Zion National Park. Zion has a wide range of activities to offer, from easy walks on paved trails to beautiful views that are short and might take less than an hour, up to long, all-day strenuous hikes to the tops of peaks, or multi-day trips in the wilderness parts of the park, which is most of the park, about 85% of the park. I became a ranger by a somewhat circuitous route. It was on that first trip to Zion as a geology field camp student. We hiked one of the big trails, Angel's Landing, that goes up to a high peak. And I couldn't believe that I had seen little houses in this town that we drove through. And I asked a friend, how did people get so lucky to live in a place like this? And he kind of joked, well, you could be a park ranger. And I think that planted a little seed that stuck in the back of my head. And when I was able to finish grad school, I threw everything in my car and moved out to southern Utah to volunteer at Arches National Park. Started volunteering there for most of that year. And then after that, started working seasonally for the Park Service and worked at several different parks in Utah, Arches, Capitol Reef National Park, Canyonlands National Park, and then moved out into some of the California parks like Joshua Tree and Death Valley, and then here to Zion, which is kind of coming back to the place that started it for me, and I'm probably going to be here for a really long time.
I think I became a park ranger for a number of reasons. I did not grow up thinking I would be a park ranger, but I did go to a lot of parks as a kid and remembered camping and hiking and visiting rangers and things like that as a kid. And then as I went to college, I studied a whole bunch of different things and minored in environmental studies, and sort of really do believe in the mission of the Park Service to protect not only our wildlands for actually the plants and the animals and the scenery purposes, but to have these places where people can come and visit. And I love the part about the job where I get to walk around and talk to people, whether that's in the trail or a visitor center. I really do love seeing people from all over the United States and actually all over the world coming to the national parks and experiencing them for themselves. And I think that's my favorite part of the job is getting to share a wonderful place with other people.
So what made me become a park ranger? As a child, I grew up around Michigan and the Great Lakes. We did a lot of camping and family trips, and we also had a cottage in northern Michigan. So I spent a lot of time outdoors as a child. And when I went into college, I actually studied graphic design and realized I didn't want to be stuck inside. I had this urge to go outdoors, and I would spend my summers and my spring breaks traveling all around the western United States. And when I found out the opportunity to partake in an internship called the Student Conservation Association, they placed me with the National Park Service. And through that, I fell in love with the National Park Service, and I have been here at Zion National Park for just about 2 years. And before that, I did my internship at Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument in Flagstaff, Arizona. So I've come all the way from Michigan and fallen in love with the desert and the mountains, and it really touches my heart, and I want to share this experience and help others to find their connection to nature as well.
Okay, there are many different types of park rangers in the National Park Service. I am the type that is called an interpretive park ranger, which means I help to interpret the resources for park visitors. Basically a naturalist is what a lot of folks would know that as. We work at the contact stations, the visitor center, the museum, and answer visitor questions. We offer ranger programs from evening campground talks to guided hikes, and sometimes shorter talks or orientation kind of things. And then there are lots of other kinds of park rangers as well. There are the visitor and resource protection rangers. who handle the entrance stations, collecting the fees to help the park run. It also includes, we've got all the infrastructural things. We've got a whole bunch of maintenance rangers throughout the park that handle all the roads, all the trails, as well as all the infrastructure in the park. So they are so essential to allowing any of us to come enjoy the parks. They keep the trails in good condition. They keep the buildings operating. So they're really an important
insight, something people should know about being a park ranger. We actually get to live right here in America's national parks. As a seasonal park ranger, they allow us to live in housing. Of course, we still pay rent, but I get to wake up every morning with this view right out my bedroom window.
So I think national parks are a really important part of who we are as Americans, to be able to experience our natural heritage, to view these different places, because the United States is such a varied place, and of course we have these tall mountains, we have grasslands, we have deserts and lakes and rivers and all these cool places, and I think the national parks sort of are emblematic of seeing all these different diverse places that we have as Americans in our country that we're so lucky to have. And also, of course, there are so many awesome national parks that have a historical value, that show our heritage, that show very specific points in our history that really reflect the changes that we've come through as a country. So going to national parks, whether that's a small national historic site or a battlefield or a giant national park in the West to show the beauty of this country, I think is really important for people of all ages, for kids and from people around the world.
Here's a sketch of one of those eagles flying to the nest. Oh, I have so many questions about eagles.
Can watching eagles be a job?
Oh, yes, yes. Maybe you'd like a job as a wildlife biologist. They study animals to understand them better. Here, check this video out.
My name is Mike Fabricius. I've been working at the Grootbos Foundation as a wildlife ecologist for the conservation team for the last 3 years. It's an incredibly rewarding job, not only because I really like wildlife and spending time in nature, but I get to work a lot with people. With regards to wildlife monitoring and the ecological aspects of my job, we know that the wildlife of the Western Cape is extremely secretive, shy and nocturnal within its nature. This means that on-foot monitoring is not really something that we can do as easily as in areas where the wildlife are easy to find and move during the day and in much higher densities. Out here, our best methods of monitoring will include camera trapping and on-the-ground tracking. Our monitoring projects have also helped us understand the population of our apex predator, the leopard of the Cape. We've been able to set up ID kits, identify routes, monitoring routes, engage with landowners, gain some really compassion building footage. This is footage that is not just good for research, but also allows us to be able to show this to landowners, get them excited about conservation. We often get calls from landowners with regards to human-wildlife conflict. We provide the advice that allows them to be able to manage their livestock in an environmentally conscious manner. Human-wildlife conflict is not only about leopards and livestock, but it comes down to educating people that are working around species such as snakes. We received a call out for this boomslang in the vines of one of the Conservancy's members, and we've managed to convince them that this is a welcomed friend, and they've agreed that we can release her back into the vines. Human populations are on the rise, and these trends aren't predicted to slow down anytime soon. The need for conservation efforts and people in the field of ecology and conservation and research is vital for the persistence of our species. When it comes to understanding natural systems, we see nature as an ecosystem web. Animals, plants, people, and they're all connected. Humans are a part of this, and it's not that we are separate from nature, we are nature.
Those careers look really interesting.
If you and the sixth graders want to know more, you can explore more outdoor careers. What did you like best about this day? What career interests you the most? And what career fits you best in terms of the lifestyle you want and the passions that you have?
Take a moment to respond to these questions in your journal.
I'm ecstatic that you came on our excellent nature walk. If you'd like to learn more, use our Science Extension Choice Board to visit some amazing places like Yosemite National Park, Joshua Tree, or Crystal Cove in Newport Beach. There are also lessons on nature journaling and live birdwatching camps.
Tomorrow, I'm going to try to figure out some other exciting careers through STEAM Camp to help me figure out my career by Friday.
Thank you again for coming with me. Have a great week.